Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football. This episode of Football Theory is brought to you by the folks over at MyBookie. Make sure you're in the game with MyBookie. You can play any matchup, hundreds of college player props, and more over at MyBookie. So make sure you head on over there. And thank you. We're very grateful to MyBookie for being a part of the On Texas Football family and sponsoring Football Theory here on On Texas Football. I'm lifetime Longhorn, pleased to be joined by the coach, former high school football coach at Burnett, Capel, Brownwood, Belton, Rotan. Also played college football at Abilene Christian, coach there multiple stints, and also was on the staff at the University of Texas for multiple head coaches. And now you can catch his work at ShipleyRanches.com. It's Coach Bob Shipley. What's going on, Coach? How you doing?
Hey, what's up, Rod? How you been?
I'm doing great, man. Longhorns are ranked number one. I think fall is on the way. It's a beautiful time. It's a beautiful time to be a Longhorn fan.
Especially. I don't know what the line is on this game, but when you got the opposing coaches already talking trash about how they ain't going to be prepared for us, that's kind of crazy.
Wow. Yeah,
I guess you read that, huh?
Yeah, I just saw that too. For those who haven't seen it, I don't even know why. I don't know why he's providing bulletin board material. It doesn't make any sense, Coach. But essentially, he's saying the opposing coach, the ULM head coach, said he knows that Texas is not going to prepare hard for them. They're not going to basically take them very seriously. That is the gist of what he was saying, that Texas is going to take them so lightly that they won't be fully focused on preparation for ULM. So, if they were going to be distracted, Coach, you just refocus Texas.
That's right. That's right. Rule. That's like head coach philosophy 101. Don't give your team, your opponent, any ammunition.
What are we doing? What are we doing here? I can't believe he did that. Yeah, I saw that too, Coach, and he said, yeah, the Texas, hey, they're not going to be prepared because they're going to take them lightly, basically. It's like, well, not anymore, Coach. So, yeah, congrats on that. But ULM, yeah, Coach, I think the line, last time I looked at it, was 44.5. Some people have it at 45, 45.5. So
we beat them by 100. Then somebody can ask him post-game. Maybe CJ can ask him post-game how bad the score would have been if we would have been focused and preparing for them.
That's right. Yeah, I still don't know his motivation. I'm like, what was he thinking? You know what? Some things, like my mom used to always say, you can think it, but young man, you ain't got to say it. Okay, you can think it, you ain't got to say it out loud. And you know what? It's one of those moments I want to say, Coach, you can think
like we're not going to get it. You know,
you don't have to. Why would you say that out loud anyway? We'll get to that, of course. We'll get to ULM because I want to talk about what the Texas offense is going to look like. We assume, and Sark has not yet confirmed it. I love little gamesmanship, Coach. I want you to talk about that a little bit too. Even though the world seems to know that Arch is going to start the game, Sark won't reveal it. He has not confirmed they starter either way. What as a coach, is that just gamesmanship? Is that, just him forcing the opponent to have to prepare for both quarterbacks just in case? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I guess so. And I mean, it could be something, they have access to some of the world's most advanced health facilities and equipment, machines, whatever you want to call it, rehabilitation, who knows? But I'm not putting my money on it. I'm not putting my money on it for another week after this one too.
Agreed. Yeah, because if Arch plays really well and then Quinn is not recovered, or at least recovered enough to the point where they believe he can play and go out there and give at least a good enough effort where he is a better option than Arch Manning. Arch may be out there for extended time, but he will get his first start. And I want to talk about what the offense will look like with Arch at the helm as opposed to Quinn Ewers. I think it'll look a little bit different, just slightly different. And I want to talk about that, the different concepts, some of the modifications we can see on the offense. And then there's a trend I noticed on defense, Coach, and we'll start with this. I want to talk a little defense. I don't think we talk enough defense on Football Theory. So I want to start talking about the Texas defense and a trend I noticed about a new MO that Texas has, a new modus operandi, if you will, on third and long. And I think it's a creative collaboration of Johnny Nansen, and also PK. So we'll talk about that. But before we do, let me tell you about our friends who sponsor our this episode of Football Theory here on Texas Football, and that is our friends over at MyBookie. With all the excitement of this season, make sure you're in the game with MyBookie. Bet any matchup, hundreds of college player props, and take advantage of weekly risk-free bets. The best part is you can do it all anytime, anywhere, straight from your phone. That's right. Visit mybookie.ag. Use the promo code ONTexas to get started. It's really easy. It's MyBookie's 10th year, folks. Their 10-year anniversary, and they're rolling out the red carpet for bettors just like you. You can bet big, bet confident with risk-free Thursdays. If your boosted bet doesn't hit, you'll get your money back. How about that, folks? You can't beat a deal like that. Weekly, no sweat, win-win bets all season long over at MyBookie. And sign up now using the code ONTexas, all right, and to cash in on a double deposit bonus. It's a no-brainer. You can double the cash in your account before you even place your first bet, but do not wait on it, folks. Right now is the time to do it. It's only available for a limited time, and right now is the best time for you. At MyBookie, you're making money before you even place your first bet. First, for those of you who've been playing with MyBookie, they've got something for you too, a brand new loyalty rewards program with MyBookie Plus. It's simple. The more you play, the more you earn, and as you progress through the tiers and unlock exclusive promotions, epic giveaways, and cash back in your account with MyBookie Plus. Go to mybookie.ag today. Remember, use that code ONTexas. All right, folks, let's start with defense. I know it's a trend. I was looking at the third and longs. Third and long, for those who don't know, is 3rd and 7 plus. Is that your definition of third and long?
Yes, sir.
Yes. 7 or more to go. Usually that is the case. And I was looking at what I thought 21 third and longs that Texas has defended so far this year. And here's the trend I found. I found that Texas, because I saw this in the UTSA game, and I thought, man, I think Texas is using a lot of the 3 high shell looks on third down, the 3 high safeties, as we've talked about numerous times in the Big 12. It was a bit of it was a bit of a kryptonite, if you will, for Sark early on in his tenure in the Big 12. Then he found the antidote, figured it out. And now I think Sark is, at least him, PK, and Johnny Nansen, they've decided to use the 3 high safety shell defense a little bit on their own. I haven't seen this prior to this season. I think I saw maybe one snap of it maybe last year from Texas, but this, or maybe this year, or maybe last year, a couple of years ago. But this year, I've seen it a lot, Coach, specifically on third down. So on 3rd and long versus UTSA, on 8 of the 10 3rd and long situations, Texas utilized a 3 high look against UTSA. That's pretty, to me, that's a pretty high rate. It's probably the highest rate I've seen them use it on 3rd and longs. And like I said, they used it mostly, sometimes it was with inverted Tampa 2. Sometimes it was to roll to a single high look. Sometimes it was to give you a 2 high look. But like I said, they're using it more. Now I think when I see Johnny Nansen use something, he doesn't just use it and discard it as a kind of specific matchup-based concept. He once he uses it, he puts it into his catalog and basically uses it in his repertoire. I'd only seen them use it in a dime package prior to the UTSA game, but now you see them using that 3 high a lot out of the nickel package too. So I'm thinking maybe it's just now part of the base looks that they're going to have, especially on 3rd and long.
Yeah, and it's not a bad look at all. You can do a lot of things out of it. It makes you very versatile. It also helps you keep everything in front of you. If you're not going to roll the coverage, if you're going to stay in it, you keep everything in front of you, And so I like that. I think, and you predicted this with the new staff we had coming in, with Johnny coming in, and PK being a guy who loves to be versatile. He's not opposed to trying new things and looking at new things. And I think that's exciting because you can get stagnant staying in the same old stuff. So I'm excited about it. I look forward to seeing how much more we do of it this season.
And it's interesting. Like I said, I haven't seen it this much, and I think it's a collaboration. I want to give PK credit too, because I think it's something PK has studied in the Big 12. And, and obviously Sark had to study it himself to find creative counters to it. And I think with Johnny Nansen coming in, the versatility they have back there, now they're going to use it more and more. So in addition to that, though, I went back after I saw that and went to look at the previous weeks to see, okay, well, how often they use it on 3rd and long versus Colorado State, how often they use it on 3rd and long versus Michigan, and not as much in those games. Texas faced third and long 11 total times in the first 2 games of the season, and I only saw them use that three high shell look in 4 of their third and longs that they defended. So it maybe it was just something that they really felt it would work much better versus UTSA than other teams. But I think you're just going to see more and more of it as they get more comfortable with it, Coach. I think it's more foreshadowing that when they get more comfortable with it, this might be part of their third and long package period this season. Something else so we're talking about third and long. The dime package that they use versus Colorado State, the NASCAR dime, as I call it, where they have 3 edge rushers on the field, and that's their NASCAR package, and they accompany that with a 6 DB package. I call it the NASCAR dime. They do not call it that. That's what I call it. I'm sure they have a different name for it. I noticed they didn't use much of it at all versus UTSA, and I thought maybe if the injury to Jelani McDonald, he is their third nickel and essentially their 4th safety. And I wonder, maybe they just, because he wasn't available, maybe they didn't use it. We did have Malik Muhammad went down for a little bit. So I'm not sure why they didn't use the dime package versus UTSA. Could have been matchup specific. Could have been the lack of depth at the safety position. But I did notice in the first 2 games, you faced 11 snaps, like I said, of that third and long. They used the NASCAR dime on 9 of the 11 snaps in those first 2 games. So I think it's more based on the football investigation that I'm doing. I think it's more that they didn't have the depth because of Jelani McDonald. They decided, we won't use the NASCAR dime this week. I think you'll see it come back. I don't know about ULM because they run the ball a lot, but Michigan ran the ball a lot, and we saw the NASCAR dime versus them. I wonder if it's something matchup specific. Maybe we'll see it more in the weeks to come. But I think that's going to be their go-to package, Coach, on third and long. The NASCAR dime and or the 3 high shell look.
I'm wondering if they didn't feel like UTSA was much of a threat to throw the ball down the field. I mean, so you don't have to bring those guys in if your opponent doesn't really pose a threat in your estimation. Of course, that can all change a couple big plays, but I don't know. It's something that I think it's going to be fun for you and I and the folks watching this Football Theory episode to look for in the future. And let's just kind of keep running track of that, Rod, as we go through this season and see how that plays out, because that's a really interesting fact that you brought up.
Yeah, I just love it. They're experimenting with a lot of stuff, man. This defense is so fun to watch with Johnny Nansen and PK. They're so creative now and all the multiple looks. All right, let's talk about the offense and how we expect the offense to look, or how it can look different with Arch Manning. We believe Arch Manning starting his first game at Texas instead of Quinn Ewers. It has not been confirmed yet. We want to make sure we keep throwing it out there. Sark spoke to the media actually today and said he has not decided who is going to start the Texas ULM game. But I think the offense is going to be different, Coach, in a lot of ways. I think, number one, I believe you're going to see more targets to guys like Jonte Cook and Ryan Wingo. We talked about this before. That's just might be his favorite targets because he's grown up with them, at practice, right? Those are guys on the second team. That's who he usually works with. And hey, man, you go with what you know. You dance with what brung you. That's what Derek K. Roy used to say. I think he's gonna dance with who brung him. And even the stats bear that out, Coach. There's 7 targets early on for Ryan Wingo and 6 targets early on for Jonte Cook this season. 4 of those for each of them, by the way. 4 for Jonte Cook and 4 for Ryan Wingo are from Arch. So he had played.
It's an interesting phenomenon that you're talking about because I don't know that Sark necessarily. I guess he probably does dials up plays for specific receivers. It's to me, it's more the quarterbacks going through their progression. Yeah, but that's the quarterback's discretion. It's like, okay, maybe he doesn't have the the reps and the experience and the history with Isaiah Bond on. So it sees Isaiah, whereas Quinn may see the exact same coverage and go, yeah, I can get the ball to him. but then Arch may have. I'm going to number 2. I don't feel real great about that. I'm going to number 2, or I'm going to number 3. He come down and hitting his third progression in the game in UTSA, which is amazing for a true freshman, or not a true freshman. I mean, a freshman basically playing. Yeah, his first real experience to be able to go to your third read.
It's amazing.
And so I think a lot of that is discretionary on can I thread this in there? I know this is my number 1 read. Maybe it's maybe I could, but I'm gonna go on number 2 because I know that for example, Wingo is going to go up and get it, or whatever, DeAndre Moore or whatever his his favorite targets are going to be. Jonte Cook, as you mentioned. It's really fun because you never know. Last year we kind of knew it's going to be 1 or 2 guys making the big plays.
Exactly.
This year it's like we're a broken record. We say it almost every show. It's just so crazy to think about. You don't know who's the star of the game. You don't know who the leading receiver is going to be. You don't know who's going to break the game wide open. You don't know who's going to not catch a ball, or they may catch 3 touchdowns. You just don't know. And so if we don't know, you can bet your bottom dollar that the defensive coordinator of our opponent doesn't know either. And that's what has to be so frustrating. But back to your original point, not to get us off, but what are some more of your thoughts on what Arch is going to bring to the offense if he does in fact start Saturday?
Yeah, I think something else that I think we're going to be able to notice. I think they're gonna throw the football a little bit more downfield. I know this sounds crazy with a younger quarterback, but when I saw Arch come in the game and there were a couple of plays that were dialed up as vertical shots. You had the Ryan Wingo play with the dagger concept. You had the other Ryan Wingo play. Maybe it's a Ryan Wingo thing. The 39-yard, it's kind of a play action flood thub where he designed a rollout and he threw it on the money in the contested catch by Ryan Wingo. There was another one where Texas was deep in their own end zone and they threw it deep downfield. Now, this could be Arch, who likes some of those vertical shots down the field. Or it could be Sark noticing that one of Arch's strengths is his deep ball. We saw that in the spring game. Like, he's got a nice, pretty deep ball. Quinn has worked on his, and he's gotten better. But Arch just seems like it's more of a natural deep ball. And I wonder if you go look at the frequency, he had 3 deep balls in that game and didn't play a lot. That's a pretty high frequency. Quinn has only had 7 deep balls all season long and has played significantly more. So it seems like the frequency went up. And when I looked at the ADOT, the average depth of target, Arch at 8.8, damn near 9 yards average depth of target. Quinn's at 6 yards average depth of target. As a matter of fact, my man CJ Vogel revealed this little nugget. If you look at the ADOT of all the SEC starting quarterbacks, Quinn's at the lowest average depth of target. He's not throwing the football very far downfield. And with that aligns and tracks with his time to throw. His average time to throw is 2.2 seconds. Arch is at 2.5. Arch is keeping the ball a little bit longer, to your point, actually getting deeper into the progressions. The touchdown to DeAndre Moore, Sark said that was the 3rd, 4th in the progression. So he's getting deeper into the progressions, and I think he's throwing the football downfield a little bit more. If you look at air yards, the percentage of yards that the quarterback gained by throwing the ball in the air, not yak opportunities here. The air yards for Quinn versus UTSA was 26% of his yards were through the air. For Arch, it was 42% of his yards came through the air. His explosive play percentage, as we all know, 33% was really high. Quinn was at 5.6%. So I'm just saying, if you're looking at it, I think there may be a little bit more verticality in the offense. I think they may go downfield just a little bit more with Arch, which seems counterintuitive, but the stats and the numbers would say otherwise.
Well, I'm going to ask you this. Do you think that could be because Arch seems to be pretty comfortable rolling out?
He is good, yes.
Yeah, that is going to give him more time, and it's going to allow him more. It's going to allow his receivers more time to get down the field, which could, in some cases, account for his, yards downfield being higher than Quinn's, because he likes to throw on the run. He likes the bootleg. Of course, Quinn loves the play action bootleg, but it seems like Arch is very comfortable sprinting out, and he has no problem putting the ball on the money while he's moving.
Yep, I had that. Yeah, coach, you read my mind. I had that as one of mine too. That you're gonna move the pocket with him because he's so. That's the first play, basically the first completion, I should say, of the last 3 appearances he's made. Tech, Colorado State, and UTSA. A design rollout was his first completion to a flood, a company with a flood concept. So I'm with you, coach. I think you'll definitely see more movement of the pocket. I'm not sure that Sark wants him running 60, 70 yards, touchdowns. No, exactly. So I think you'll see less of that, but you'll see more of him moving around the pocket, bootlegs, waggles, design rollout. So I agree with that, coach. Also, I think you may see, and maybe with a week of practice, it's changing, but in the game versus UTSA, the pre-snap motion rate and shift rate dropped a little bit when he won the game, which makes sense, right? He hadn't worked with the first team. That was a different game plan. Sark probably didn't want to overburden him with trying to navigate all the moving pieces pre-snap. So, coach, one of the things you may see is a slight decrease in pre-snap shift and motion rate, but maybe Sark feels comfortable enough with him full week of practice that is still just as high as the average, but it did dip a little bit when Arch was in there as opposed to Quinn.
Yeah, and I want to bring up another point that most people probably don't realize or even think about, but imagine all the shifting and moving and the exact timing it takes for when the quarterback calls for the ball. Because, I mean, it can't be but inches. It's missing those guys in motion by inches. So, Sometimes, I think we had one play, I think maybe where we hit. Yeah.
Yep. It hit like Juan Davis or something, I think, like that.
Yeah. So that's Juan Davis, a guy who hasn't been, the first game didn't, he's getting a little more playing time every game, but it's just experience and timing. Quinn is so good at it, and those starters are so good at it because they do it so much that I look for him to maybe work into that with Arch a little bit slower, just to make sure that his timing is on with these guys, because he doesn't run with the ones probably very much. Another thing I wanted to say about just the offense in general, it seems to me, I'm hoping this is true, because this was always my philosophy when I had cats, when I had GoDaddies like he has now.
Oh, I like that.
Is that jump on their butt early. If they're a running team, you jump on them, get them behind so they can't keep the ball away from you and slow the game down and try to keep the game close. You put 3 or 4 touchdowns between you and your opponent, and now they're not just going to be able to hand off the ball and run the clock unless they just give up and say, okay, we're just going to try not to get beat as bad as we would have if we were throwing it down the field and stopping the clock. But I like that. It kind of goes back, like I said, to I sound like a broken record, but
right.
Take the kickoff. I want the ball. I'm going to throw it deep. I'm going to jump on your butt early. I'm going to get it again. We're going to do it again. And you're going to say, uh-oh. And then see how much you're going to run it now when you're down 21 in the first quarter.
Hey, Coach, to your point, and you said it before the Michigan game, if you win the toss, take the ball. Know why more coaches don't do it. And you were right. And Sark said it was for the weather and the wind. But I think he was listening to you, Coach. So he took the ball in the Michigan game, but that was a running team, to your point. They tried to get up early on them, really high pass rate early on, tried to get the lead on them. Remember, early on, they missed a field goal, but they wanted to get that lead quick and force Michigan to throw to get back in the game, have to abandon the run. ULM is no Michigan, of course, but same philosophy, Coach. I agree with you. I don't know if he'll be as aggressive as taking the ball, that kind of thing. He probably should if he wins the toss and just try to score early. And once they're down double digits, they can't win. It's not really, they have to abandon their identity, which is what you want them to do.
Right.
As a team. So I agree with that, Coach. Speaking of early, so if that's the case, one thing I do want to watch is the pass rate early on. When Arch came in the game, the pass rate, it significantly decreased compared to Quinn, because lately the pass rate has been really high. He's been giving the offense to Quinn. It's something we talked about. In the Michigan game, early down pass rate, first half, 60%. You were hovering around 58% on the first 5 drives in that Colorado State game as well. And in this game, Sark had Quinn closer to 70% pass rate when he was in the game, Coach. They didn't run the ball. It's like the 10th play of the game. First 9 plays, they were just chunking it. They were throwing it. And I wonder if that did significantly decrease, because the pass rate for Arch was below 50% when he came in. So I do wonder if that is something you'll see more balance and moderation with a young quarterback instead of a third-year starter compared to a first-time starter. maybe you don't just lean so heavily on the pass to open up everything else.
Yeah, maybe not, but I do think the philosophy that we've shown in a couple of games, throwing it a lot early, does tend to get the defense on their heels and hopefully open up the running game a little more, because you're gashing them with the pass, and you get to where the defensive linemen are like, they're looking up, trying to see if it's, where the rush lane is going to be, where the quarterback is, and the next thing you know, there's a drive block and somebody coming into their hip from the side, blocking down on them, and they're toast, and we're running past them with the ball. Yep. So it all works together. If it works, it's like a fine oil machine, and it's a thing of beauty. And so far, this season has been a thing of beauty. And there's going to be games, and we got one coming up in Georgia that, and maybe even in Dallas and Oklahoma, where it ain't going to be as easy as it's been.
Yep.
You know that, and I know that.
Yep.
But I think he has enough in his repertoire, and these guys have had their backs up against the wall before as athletes, and some of them at the University of Texas, that they understand that every game's not going to be this easy. You're not going to run through everybody like you did the defending national champions.
Yep, I totally agree with that, Coach. Last thing, to your point, that Bond touchdown, that 50-yard touchdown he had over 100 yards in the game, but he reached 22.1 miles per hour. Coach, by the way, that is the fastest ball carrier tracked by GPS. I think a GPS assisted, or I think AI assisted GPS basically is how they do it these days. And he was clocked at 22.1 miles per hour. No college player has been clocked faster so far this season, and no NFL player has been clocked as a faster ball carrier. So yeah, basically Isaiah Bond is the fastest football player at the college or the pro level so far this year. And I would say you're going to see more of that play too, Coach. You saw it twice in that game. It led to 60, I believe it was 66 yards of Isaiah Bond's 100+ receiving yards were on that little screen route that was that bubble screen behind the line of scrimmage. So I think you're going to see a lot of that again from guys like Silas Bolden and from guys like Isaiah Bond, guys who have that natural yak ability when the ball's in their hands. You don't necessarily have that depth at running back, but you can use those plays as extensions of the running game and a way to get your young quarterback in a rhythm. So you'll see that play a lot. That play, they saw it twice in that game. Quinn threw it to him and Arch threw it to him. Guarantee you're going to see that concept again. All right. That's enough for now. We appreciate Coach and all your wisdom. Once again, want to thank our good friends over at MyBookie. This episode of Football Theory here on Texas Football is brought to you by the folks at MyBookie. Make sure you're in the game with MyBookie. Play any matchup, hundreds of college player props and more. Go to mybookie.ag. Remember to use that promo code ONTexas, and they'll hook you up when you use that promo code ONTexas there at mybookie.ag. All right, Coach, thank you for the time and the wisdom and the knowledge as always. Thank you guys out there for listening and for watching another episode of Football Theory. Thank you to Matthew behind the scenes. He is the real MVP. Thank you to our good friends over at MyBookie as well. Until next time, hook 'em horns.